Ayurveda itself, generally when somebody says, they say it's very ancient, that it is all good old methods that might actually not work in the current trend.
Absolutely no. Especially understand as dosha dhatu mala moolam hi shareeram. So it is a
In allopathy, they'll say you take this test, this test, this test. So, but when it comes to Ayurveda,
Sparshana Prashna. Observation. How keenly you observe the variations through your eyes. Get in touch with a good Ayurveda Vaidya. Ask them how do I change my lifestyle so that I can live in a healthy way. Just a simple, proper bath can take away diseases from you. Nothing. No juices in the name of Ayurveda. Karela juice. Please don't. Ayurveda never talks about it. A coffee in between, a banana in between, and then again a snack in between, and then it goes on to 10 to 12 times a day, and that is how most of the doctors are very prosperous. And idli dosa was not a diet which was introduced daily.
so is there any signs that our body will give us in our daily lifestyle that Hello, doctor.
Hello.
Thank you so much for taking your time today and joining today with us for a candid conversation about Ayurveda and the goods about Ayurveda. So this is something that I really wanted to do for a very long time, and I've been chasing you for quite some time. And thank you so much for giving us this time.
My pleasure.
So today in Go Make a Difference, I think our audience is going to have a very different, tinge about Ayurveda and what it is right from an expert like you. How can it be simpler, and how is it that we can go and give it to the audience in such a way that they will be able to relate with their daily life as well? So could you please let us know about you, doctor, about your history in Ayurveda?
I am Dr. Savithri. I completed my BAMS in 1993. Finished my MD in 1997. And I've been practicing since 93. I am the student of one very dedicated and great Vaidya, Dr. C.S. Somiyaji. He was the research officer in the government hospital. So he's been my guru.
Okay.
So I'm associated with a voluntary organization called Ayurveda Academy, which actually believes in and works for taking Ayurveda in its simplest form for the benefit of humanity.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, doctor. So to start on with a very lighter note, right? Why Ayurveda? What interested you to become an Ayurveda doctor?
Well, the first thing is its service, and second, which is very near to life, and it's very natural, and it has a spiritual component which is very strong. So I think it is that.
Okay. So you always wanted to become a doctor?
I wanted to become a Vaidya.
Okay. That's the difference between doctors and...
Yes.
Okay.
Ayurveda, as I was introduced to, was a means to Brahmavidya. So anything that is Veda will take you to the spiritual path is how I got introduced to it, and that's how I'm here.
That's a very different answer that I've heard till date, actually. That's amazing. Okay. So, moving on to the crux of the topic, right? So, Ayurveda itself, generally when somebody says, they say it's very ancient, very mythical. It has its own complications, and, people, they think that it is all good old methods that might actually not work in the current trend. Is that true?
Absolutely no, especially the second part of it. Well, it's ancient, yes it is. Does it have its own complications? Well, even a food, if you take extra, it causes diarrhea, right? So that way, yes, but then it's very simple. And then it's, is it applicable to this generation? Absolutely. I would rather say it is more applicable now. Because the need that we see in the society right now is huge and massive. And it is even more applicable today than probably it was before. Because before, Ayurveda was a part of the life. It was a very natural part of everyday life. And today the generation or even the life today has somehow deviated from its naturality quite a bit. So that's how in today's generation it is even more necessary and even more applicable.
So when we say Ayurveda, right? So what does it actually mean?
Ayuhu is life. Veda is wisdom. So basically it is wisdom of life. So it's a way of life, it's a science of life, it's an art of life. It just gives you the training of how to live. You know, we all get education about how to deal with a mobile, how to bank, how to deal with your finances, everything related to the external world. But what about yourself? You know, you have a body, you have a mind, you have your sense organs, and you have you, your own soul. So most of the times we are not even aware that we have all of these. So Ayurveda is basically about knowing about oneself and knowing about how to care for oneself in all dimensions.
Okay.
So it is not just a medical science. That's what I want to focus on. See, with a medical science, Ayurveda as a medical science is just a very tiny part of it. Suppose something goes wrong, then how to fix it in a holistic way. See, that is what is the medical part of it. But basically, it is not just a medical science. It's a whole science of life.
Holistic living.
Absolutely. Holistic living, harmonious living, happy living.
Okay.
And of course, living fulfillingly.
Okay. So, so even it might be even ancient, it might be very old also, but still it stands good and it is still applicable for the current trends and generations. Okay. So when you get in a little deeper, when you say Ayurveda, there are 3 doshas in Ayurveda that they actually follow, which is a ground rule, right? Could you please explain about that?
See, before we go to doshas, I think there are some basic things we need to know. The first is Ayurveda has 2 parts. One is related to the health, the other is related to the disease, you know, I mean the medical science.
Okay.
So when we come to either health care or treating the disorders, people who are diseased, so what we understand is there is a very independent way of understanding the human being. I don't say human body, because for us it is a human being who is alive. So it is the body, mind, senses and the soul put together that we call the human being. There is a very intrinsic and an independent way of understanding this human being. So in that, when we come to the body, which is the substratum for the mind and the soul, so the body we understand as dosha, dhatu, mala, moolam hi shariram. So it is a combination of dosha, dhatu, 3 doshas, 7 dhatu and basically 3 malas. So this is in gross actually what constitutes the sharira as it is. Okay. And in that what we call as the dosha are the vata pitta kapha.
Okay.
So that means to say these doshas, vata pitta kapha are the functional components. The dhatu that we talk of, the rasa, rakta, mamsa, meda, asti, majja, shukra, these are the structural components. And then the mala are the byproducts. Because the structural and the functional components are very dynamic. On a day-to-day basis, there is a lot of transformation that is happening inside, a lot of metabolic processes that is happening, and then there are byproducts which are coming out. So those byproducts are what we call as mala.
Okay.
So your question is about dosha. See, these are the functional components of the body. To put it very, very simply, any movement that is happening in the body, from the subtlest movement of the mind to the grossest movement of your hands and your feet, anything that is responsible for the movement inside the body and the perception. You know, you are talking to me and I am able to perceive, I am seeing you, there is light around, I am able to feel the air from the fan. See, all of these are perceptions. So anything that is responsible for the perception and the movement in the body is what we call as vata.
Okay.
And then anything that is responsible for transformation. See, I've had lunch and then I'm full now, but then it gets digested and then that gets converted into different body tissues. So there is something which is doing it. So that thing which is bringing about this change of the material inside, it could be as subtle as, you know, there's a girl who is maturing, having her first periods, then you see she's growing immediately. There are changes happening there. So right from that, from the as grossest as, you know, you take food and then that gets converted. Anything that is responsible for transformation or paka as we call, that is pitta.
Okay.
And kapha is the one which actually provides the strength and the substratum. See, for transformation to happen or for movement to happen, you need a place where it happens and the integrity of the body tissues that is needed for it. So, anything that is contributing to this integrity of the body tissues are in total called as kapha.
Okay.
These again we identify into different types, 5 types each, and its own sthanas, karmas, and all. That's a huge science in itself.
Okay. So these three are the base for Ayurveda, isn't it?
Not really. See, Ayuhu, the base is Sharira, Indriya, Sattva, Atma. And in that one is Sharira. And in the Sharira you have Dosha, Dhatu, Mala. And in that the one is Dosha.
Okay. Oh, it's just a subset of the entire.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But then they are very important because they are of its doshatva. If they are normal, then they contribute to the functional integrity and harmony in the body. But if they go wrong, they can start the havoc.
Okay.
And they can damage everything else very fast. They initiate the damage.
Okay.
So that is how they have become very popular.
Okay. So whenever somebody talks about Ayurveda, they say
Vata Pitta Kapha, because they are very popular, they have gained popularity over other components because they are the ones who are potential damage makers if they go wrong.
Okay. So the starting, you said, the havoc starts from there. Okay, got it. So it's just not that, it is a subset of the entire.
Absolutely. They are the functional components.
Okay, got it.
For function to happen, you need structure. So there are structural components.
So having said that, so when a patient is going to come to you for the first time, right? So generally in allopathy they'll say you take this test, this test, this test. So but when it comes to Ayurveda, the tests are not the priority. It's about understanding the entire body.
Sure.
So prakriti, as you say in your terms.
The first one is the diagnosis part. Diagnosis part is a very deep and a huge science in itself in Ayurveda. Ayurveda has its own diagnostic technology, and that starts with darshana, sparshana, prashna. Observation, how keenly you observe the variations through your eyes, the doctor's eyes, then the sparshana, the palpation of it, the feel of it, which includes nadi. And prashna is, of course, you cross check through taking the data from the patients. So out of that again we have huge information and technology which goes into the diagnostic part of it. Prakriti has nothing to do with diagnosis.
Okay.
The word prakriti itself means prakrishta kritihi, the normalcy, the source, the nature. See, prakriti is about the nature of the body, the nature of the mind.
Okay.
That's what is prakriti. Okay. We have 3 types of prakriti. The 3 categories of prakriti. One category is what people generally identify as prakriti, that is the dosha prakriti.
Okay.
Vata, pitta, kapha. People talk of vata and pitta. Okay, all of that is actually a tiny part of it, which is dosha prakriti. There is something subtler to it called the bhuta prakriti. So that means to say you have prithvi, ap, teja, vayu, akasha. These are the subtler 5 elements from which this entire universe has been formed, including the doshas. So that combination of those 5 elements which has formed into the various organs of the body, so based on that we understand the bhuta prakriti of the person.
Okay.
Even subtler and the most fascinating part for me is the mahaprakriti. Now that is for the personality, the mental personality of that particular individual. So we have in our texts identified the sattva, rajas, tamas, and in that sattvika prakriti, sattvika kaya or prakriti, then rajasa, tamasa, and in that again different personality types. 7, then again 6, then 4. So you have all of these types which can be identified. Next question is, why do we need? How important it is? See, I'll tell you, it is Prakriti is not about something getting into something fancy. Prakriti is about introspection. Prakriti is about knowing oneself, a beginning step of self-realization.
Okay.
See, it's as simple as if you understand your dosha prakriti, that who are Vata prakriti people. Vata prakriti people are the one who keep on talking, who keep on moving. They can't sit in one place properly. They can't eat huge amounts. They just eat little, but then they need it frequently. Their emotions are very volatile. So then when you realize this, then there are methods in your lifestyle that you can adapt so that it's under control and it does not cause damage to yourself and to the people around you. Vata prakriti people can be the most irritating people.
Okay.
It's not that they intend to irritate, but it is just that they can't help it. If there's you're talking to me and I'm answering you, if there's somebody who is moving around between me and you on and off here, that would be crazy, right?
Right, yeah.
And the way we may react to that person, the person may not be happy about. So the social harmony, within the family, inside an organization, everything to be, and if you realize, okay, this is what it is. Of course, we can't change dosha prakriti. We need to remember that. These prakritis are formed at the time of conception.
Okay.
That is how, parents have a huge role when it comes to becoming pregnant or planning for a child.
So that is why they say listen to good music, have good vibes around. And
listening to good music, having good vibes, being sattvic, all of that contribute to Mahaprakriti.
Okay.
But then actually having proper lifestyle, applying oil, taking bath, having good sleep at night, eating food which is healthy and proper, all of that contribute to having a good Deha Prakriti child. You have all these three components. In short, parents who really want to have a child should choose it by choice, not allow it to happen by an accident.
Okay.
Right? Anyway, having said that, now the child is there and there's a Prakriti which is formed. At least if the person knows that Vata Prakriti person intentionally every day, if he does, applies oil to the entire body, takes bath, makes sure he takes a lot of ghee in the food, then that expression of that Prakriti is under control. So the damage is minimal.
Okay.
But of course, it's not a disease to be cured. So then that is something which he can adapt his lifestyle for his own betterment and well-being, and also to the harmony in the family. See, that is what Pitta Prakriti people can be very short-tempered.
Okay.
But then people can get, emotional ups and downs can happen. But that this is because of my Pitta Prakriti. Have some butter in your food. And then try to practice certain things which can help you. Then it will just go down.
So there are certain foods that will actually mellow down your irritation?
Absolutely.
Your everyday food also?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The food that we take is the one which make us. Both our body, our mind and everything. So it does have an impact. I don't say it's the only thing which has an impact, but then that has a huge role to play.
Okay.
So that way it is important. And I think it is actually more than, but then when common man tries to know what Prakriti is, they get confused, they get stuck, and then many things happen. So instead of that, I would say, get in touch with a good Ayurveda Vaidya, ask them how do I change my lifestyle so that I can live in a healthy way. That would be a simpler thing to do, and then start adapting in your life. That would be a very simple thing to do.
Okay. So are there any food that you want to actually tell which will ease down, sometimes there will be normal stuff is acidity, gastric issues.
Oh, now you're putting your foot into diseases.
No, but that's become a very common issue these days, right? Because a lot of people, they keep sitting and working for long hours and all that. We have an entire lifestyle bit that is coming up. But having said that, everyday food also will actually, have a lot of, it will have a big impact on your behavioral self. So is there anything like that, like for example, you said butter. So is there anything that will actually happen?
See, let us understand one thing. If a person has to be healthy, there are 3 pillars to it. One is food, the second is sleep, the third is your peace of mind. Okay, so these 3, if they are proper, then your health is taken care of. So the first one is food. Food also, I think more than the materials, I would really first talk about the concepts in it. Make sure you don't eat or drink anything until you have had your bath in the morning.
That's the end actually.
No, that's the beginning.
Okay.
That's the beginning.
Okay.
See why? Because snana or the bath is the one which causes Agni Deepana. So, Papma is a disease. Okay? So, just a simple proper bath can take away diseases from you. It's wonderful. So, nothing until you have had your no coffee, no tea, no water. Nothing. No juices in the name of Ayurveda. Karela juice. Please don't. Ayurveda never talks about it.
Okay.
So, nothing until you have had your bath. Once you have had your bath and then you have done whatever your prayers are, then your stomach will call you. Listen to your stomach. Are you hungry? Make sure you're hungry. And then sit and eat. Okay. So, then once you eat, have water along with it. Eat only foods which you are habituated to since generations. The custom matters, the place where you live matters, your own lineage matters. All of that matters. There can be different sources of protein, but not all sources of protein is going to suit everyone.
True.
We need to understand that. Right? Even badam has protein and even chicken has protein. Not everybody can handle everything. So we need to understand the context in which kind of food is it that my father, forefather and their father have actually been using. Stick to that.
Genetics plays a major role.
Genetics, region, season. All of these play a role. Okay. So once you've had food in the morning, say thank you and close the door of your mouth and your stomach. Absolutely no interference when it's getting digested. That means to say practically once you've had your breakfast, absolutely nothing until you have your lunch. And then by lunchtime, have that breakfast which will ensure that you are hungry by the time it's your lunchtime. And when you're hungry by lunchtime, first identify that you're hungry. I think that itself is a huge problem. I ask patients at what time is your lunch? Are you hungry? The answer to the question, are you hungry? I take food on time. Well, it's not the clock that's going to tell you. It's about your own biological clock that has to tell you. So once the lunch is done, then nothing in between, again dinner. Ideally speaking, it should be twice a day. But we somehow have got used to 3 times a day. Okay, fine, compromisable, but at least stick to 3 times. A coffee in between, a banana in between, and then again a snack in between. And then it goes on to 10 to 12 times a day, and that is how most of the doctors are very prosperous.
Okay.
Okay, so food timing morning, afternoon, night. And then night food, make sure it's before 8 o'clock, not after that. This is about the timing part of it. Then what to eat. Eat what you are habituated to. Eat fresh. Please don't use refrigerators to keep cooked foods. I make dosa atta, keep it inside, take it, then put it inside, then make it, then keep it inside. Please don't do it. Most of the thyroid issues, PCODs and diabetes and skin diseases that we see today, all thanks to the refrigerator use that we have. And most of the allergies that children have, the adenoids, lot of the issues.
Stored food.
Absolutely. It's not just about stored food, it's about the refrigeration, bringing it out, that kind of whole
Then
thing.
the base of idli, dosa batter that's been there for ages, that concept has to be taken off.
I don't think you should be blaming ages for that. Idli and dosa is wonderful, but then since ages, we never had refrigerator to keep it.
That is true. Yeah, that's a point. Yeah.
Right. And idli dosa was not a diet which was introduced daily. It was a delicacy.
Right.
It was a delicacy. But now we people have become prosperous. And so we want the delicacy every day. But we don't want to actually put a physical effort that is needed for it. So we take a help of technology. And it becomes self-destructive without our knowledge. Now that's a very pathetic situation. So I think we need to have fresh food. Cook it. For what else are we actually earning so much if we can't have fresh food?
Right.
At least if the morning, if you have cooked and you're taking in the afternoon, no problem. But never make it in the night and then take it the next day. As far as possible, no leftovers. So that is one thing. And second is, there are certain kind of combinations that you need to avoid. Like if you're a non-vegetarian, don't take milk along with it. Or, the curd is very sour, so I add some milk and then you take it. These are all some deadly combinations which can have an impact on the body.
Oh, okay.
So try to avoid them. And avoid fried food and junk and all of that taking regularly. I can understand our tongue, there are distractions and you want to relish things. Fine, but then understand about seasons. In a cold season, in winters, try to replace your food with something which you like. Your body will be able to handle it. But then suppose if it's summer or when it is rainy season and then you really overdo with fried food, oil fried food, you will end up having problems. So I think moderation is something which we need to consider. And especially children.
Yeah.
Please make sure that, children, you don't show your love in terms of feeding them wrongly. So that is one thing. And the last part with food is the way you eat. A mobile here, a laptop here, screaming at your wife, screaming at your son, and then you're gulping something. Absolutely dangerous. Ajalpan ahasan tanmana bhunjita. No talking, no laugh, no emotional ups and downs. And then just relish the food, respect the food, relish the food, enjoy the food. Be with it. I think that is important. The acidity that you were talking of most of the times comes from the bad eating habits. You're getting angry, you don't know what to do, but still you're eating. So what happens to the food? You would have eaten good food, but then you're still angry and then you're eating. So you end up with acidity.
So is it psychological as well?
There is, you don't have a body without a mind.
Right, that is right.
Right, so your mind is an integral part of yourself. That's working all the while. And especially this is the food which is going to get digested and then it's going to nourish not just your body but also your mind. So it has a very deep impact. That entire thing is converted into something which is filthy. And that's not going to nourish your body. So that's the initiation of a disease process that happens in the body.